Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode here in our single player world. Today we are going to be working on a few different things around the place, but first of all I want to talk about a bit of the transportation that we have in this city, of how we get goods around, how we get people around, and more or less just how the story of people moving around the city goes. So first of all, we've got a brand new area over here which is a bit of a debate, and we've got some really cool stuff going on with it, and I've got some cool news about it. But this over here is a canal, and I know it looks very plain, boring, and completely dead straight. But that's a bit of a challenge for us in terms of building, and I'm looking forward to taking it on because it's always difficult to have something very straight, very neat, and make it look interesting. It's kind of, I guess, defeats the purpose. Almost the definition of something that's not interesting, just straightforward. No other like curves and little edges and stuff, and really that's what this is. So we're going to have to try and make this area look very cool, and we've got a lot of cool things which we're going to be doing to it that are going to just add on extra layers of interest and really extra layers of detail. So that's a really cool little project we're going to have, and it's probably not going to look anything like this at all. Now, there has been some controversy over the safety of these canals in the city, and really the issue comes where canals are not meant to have fences, and that is a bit of a struggle because fences do prevent you from falling in sometimes. And not only that, they also allow this, most importantly actually, allow me to do some really cool stuff in terms of decorating this. And really, we can call it for the safety, but it's all for the fact that I really don't want a boring looking canal. And we're going to be putting fences along to kind of take both perspectives of the realism of the canals being in place to be able to pull a boat, for instance, a boat being tugged along through here, a small boat, and obviously not anything near the ship that's on the other side there, being pulled along here, tugged along with the rope from someone on that side or on this side here. We can have some low fences. I know it seems kind of weird because the rope would get in the way, but we have to think about this in terms of how do we make this area look pretty, and of course, leaving it flat, boring, straightforward, it's not going to help us. So, first issue addressed, I guess. Now, there's also a few other things that I've been working on around this place, and I hope you guys are excited about this area as I am, because it's probably it is definitely very quickly, and it probably is at least in the top 3 favorite areas in this world right now, and that is this part, well, for me at least, this part over here, the market area. And what I've been doing work on is the back end of it, and really this is going pretty good. I'm very happy with it, and I'm very happy with the way it's turning out. We've got this side now put in. I've showed you this one here in the last video, and I'm very happy with the way that turned out. It's just got all this like detail in terms of the depth in it, in terms of the little pieces that we've added on just around there, just small pieces, and we've sort of done something the same here, mirrored it, and it just kind of, it's got its own little differences, and I think that's important, that they look similar, but they've got their own differences, and we spoke about those in the last episode, so I'll leave that for now. And the next big thing that I've done around this area has been planning out the walkway around here and how this is going to match up to the rest of the market area. And of course, we're going to have more stuff here. Do not worry. This is all still going to be very different. We're actually probably not going to see much nature at all by the time we finished with this. But right around here is the start of the market and where we are going to be walking through. So as we go around this way, we've got the little part over here connected, and you may be familiar with this, but you might not be. But this area that we're walking in right now is brand new, and the area we're going across here is not. And this is the bridge that travels over the market, and it's kind of just cool to see how this is all coming together. You've got all these different levels, all these different heights that really play in together and play in very well, and I'm really loving the way this is turning out. So what I want to do right now is I want to get a bit more of this done. I want to complete this area around here. So from here, the next big task, I guess, at least for me, is to go all the way around and complete up to here. So we can start getting the interiors put in, and we can just have this area looking quite close to being at least finished, and then we can move on to the next one, and we move on to the next one, and we kind of just build this whole world up like that. And this is where it kind of becomes pretty cool with what I'm thinking of, at least talking to you guys about this episode, because this is a very frequent question for some reason. It pops up in waves, and maybe it's to do with the time of the year, I don't know. But I've been getting this question quite a bit, and that is about how do we how do I keep myself motivated in my world? And a lot of people seem to kind of feel that they're a little bit less motivated to play Minecraft, or at least play in their own worlds in Minecraft. And really, I thought maybe I could give you guys some advice. Maybe you guys, if you've got a solution of your own that you use, you could maybe leave that in the comments, because it could come in useful to someone else in their worlds or in their game, I guess. And really, I think that'll be really cool if you could really do something like that for someone else. I think that would be really, really neat. And hopefully we can do that today for some of you guys that maybe not even right now, maybe at other times feel that you've lost a little bit of interest in your world, or you're just getting a little bit lost in your own world. That happens, and it happens to me as well, where you just kind of don't know where to start. You've got so many ideas, or you maybe don't have any ideas, and you need to kind of come up with some ideas. And how do you start? So what I like to do, first of all, and I've said this many, many times, is I like to just make sure I've got a really big task, this city, for example, and I break it up into some smaller bits and pieces. And that's really, really useful for me, at least. And I guess it could be useful to a lot of other people. And honestly, it's probably one of the best bits of advice that I could give. The other thing is really just thinking about why you lack a bit of the enthusiasm to play, I guess. And generally, you'll find maybe you're just not enjoying what you're doing, and that's completely normal. And what I like to do in that situation is have multiple big projects that are split into little projects. It seems kind of simple, but honestly, it helps me out so much. And really, I'm sure you guys are aware, I play in this world quite a bit, and it can very, very quickly become a bit of a struggle to be able to keep playing when you don't really have the urge to build in a certain area, or at least maybe not even building, just playing in general in a certain area. So what I like to do is kind of just think about another project and work from that side and work my way out. So those are some things that I find really, really help. And besides that, there's many different things you could do, of course, and mostly I would say the best, well, my best solution, if I had to sum them up, would be to really have like a big goal in terms of what you're doing and in terms of what you want to achieve in them. So for me, that has been always to just become a better builder. And it sounds kind of interesting, I guess, and boring and normal again. And really nothing that I do is really too crazy in terms of keeping interested in these things. But what I would suggest would be to just go ahead and try and maybe start trying to be a better builder, start trying to maybe be a better storyteller. These could, I mean, they all kind of tie into each other, but these all could be very important pieces of getting yourself back in, or getting yourself to a stage where you won't lose that enthusiasm for the game. And pretty much what I want to do now is, I thought it would be really cool for some people who aren't too familiar with where we've come in this world and where we've come in terms of Minecraft, in terms of building in Minecraft, to see some stuff that we've done in the past. And I'm taking you guys very, very far back. In fact, this is probably now going close on 2 years ago, when we started off in my very first single player survival world, which a lot of you guys are familiar with. I know a lot of people really feel like this place is home. You know, we spent a lot of time in it and learnt a lot of stuff. And this is just my perspective of how to stay motivated. And maybe you guys will get motivated by seeing the kind of changes that I've done, or maybe just using this for yourself. And I think this will be really, really cool. So first of all, this is my very first house I built in a single player survival Minecraft world. And you can tell it's a lot less than what we've had. And the whole goal of this world, and this is something I found that I did really good. I think this is something that helped me a lot, and I would recommend it personally. And that is, I had a very big goal that I wanted to become a better builder in Minecraft, and I wanted to experiment, and I wanted to do a whole bunch of things like this. And this is where it started. So first of all, the big project. We wanted to start off by building a massive city, and this over here is the city I built in the first series, not the first episode. Gosh, that'll be crazy. But the first series, we built this big city over here. It's a fairly large one. I think we can agree with that. But in terms of what we've done here, and what I think I did well, was staying motivated by building a really big project, being this city, and breaking it up in terms of builds. So it's very easy for a person doing YouTube videos to break up your village or your builds in terms of, I'm building a tree, I'm building a house, I'm building this. By separating by episode, I guess that helps you compartmentalize these things very, very well. However, of course, if you use that in your own world, you could probably use that exact same way and get that to work for you as well. So those are some things, and I thought maybe coming into here and showing you guys how each and every one of these was probably an episode of their own, and we just went by piece, improving our builds, and slowly but surely getting better and better from that little house over there to, for instance, this bell tower, which I really, really love. We've got a little bit of a friend in there. We've got a whole bunch of stuff like that, and just adding in piece by piece, at least, to get ourselves to where we're at. And of course, this is where we left off in this world. We pretty much just focused on this area here. But as I say, it could come in very handy to you guys to maybe take a similar sort of project on. Try and start with something small and have a big idea, break it up into little ones, and of course you'll get overwhelmed if you have too much to do, and that's not good. So break it up into little ones, and you'll see sooner or later you'll have something crazy like this, or like what we are trying to achieve in the other world. So now that we've got some cool ideas for that, hopefully they do help you. But right now, I've done a bit of cool work around here, and that is finishing off this wall over here. So this whole side here. And my biggest concern with this was that it was very, very flat. Look at that. All of these in the exact same position, which is kind of difficult to make look very interesting, but I think we've done it well with it being pushed in this way over here. And remember, this is going to be very tight. This is not going to be a very open area when we get this next piece in on this side. It's going to be a very, very close, tight-knit place, and I think that will really, really help having this very, very flat. Because if we had stuff pushing out, it's really just going to make it so narrow, and I think this will do an alright job. So what I've decided to do is put in a little bit of a lamp, which does actually work very, very well for adding in a little bit of detail when you don't know what it needs, of course, because I'll show you the stage that I was at with this and why I needed to put in a lamp or something like that. I had built this entrance over here, which we did in the beginning. I added some very, very basic level of depth and detail to this. So just these horizontal pillars being pushed back a little bit with the green piece there. And that really looked quite boring. But as soon as we put this little piece in here, that really made a big difference. And by the way, coming out this direction it's kind of good to see your build. But really the important parts of the build are where you're going to be looking at it from, well, where I intend it to be looked at from, which is down at the bottom here. And I think that's very important to consider that when you're walking down here, that's what you're going to see. And that's got a lot more detail in it. It feels like it, at least, when you walk past from down here and look up down there. It just makes the difference over there, and that's important. Now, I've got a few little pieces to finish up, just these pieces in here. We've got a little bit of an alleyway going down there. And it's overall, I think, working very, very well for us to start moving stuff into the shops and maybe just getting the interiors of these shops done, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done in here. Look at all this. Look at that guy. Is that, yeah, his legs are kind of glitching through there. That's interesting. Are his legs not moving? Oh, you know what that is? I think that's the coat. I'm pretty sure this is a nitwit villager, and that's the coat that's stuck there. That's interesting. I've never actually noticed that before. But that's pretty much just the interiors here all done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next exciting stage about this, because these things are looking really good as buildings. They got really good detail on the fronts of them. In fact, I really like these ones here. They just got like a nice feel to them. But what we got to do now is we're going to start going to the next level of detail. So adding in more finer details, the smaller things around places like this. So adding in crates that just sit around like that makes a big difference already. Just a little bit of a thing like that makes a very, very large difference to break up this area around here and make it feel a little bit better. And in fact, one question I got in a stream recently was, why don't I get rid of these two pieces? As if they were there by accident, but these are actually here on purpose. And I thought I'd maybe just mention why I do a few things like that and why they are kind of important to the world. And of course, some people may disagree, and I completely understand. It's everyone's own perspective. But these pieces here in this path are really to break it up. And I know they kind of feel a bit weird seeing a bit of a cobble in the middle of a path. And I could probably do something else if I had some dirt on me. Dirt could work quite well, coarse dirt, of course. And what this does is this makes the path look a little bit more different, because as soon as you've got a full block next to a path block, it goes dark. These ones here, dark there. If we made this in a half block over here like this, you'll see it's light like that. So that's the difference that it makes. In fact, I guess this would be a good example. Look at that block right now, and it goes dark. And that's what we're doing here. We're making the path look a little bit different as we go through it. And not only that, it's also making a different bit of a color to the path, which I think works really, really well. Now, with these note blocks that we are placing, if you're wondering why they're going around, they're there just to look like deliveries. They're there to look like stock that's waiting outside, a few boxes hanging around. And of course, we're going to be putting them in areas that it would be sort of appropriate. So just out the front of stores where they're just getting a delivery, around the corners over here, which are kind of the back alleys, the back areas of it around this way. There'll be some stock stuck around there. And I'm thinking getting some labels once we've got the shops done with some item frames would be really, really cool. Maybe some signs with packing instructions or something like that, just to go on to like a few more levels to what we could put in there. So maybe just one over there. In fact, like that could be good. There we go. Perfect. While we're adding some of these extra little pieces, I think some of the cool things to add will be to tie in things that aren't really too important to any story, but they just add in a little bit of life to the village, and that will be adding some melons. So we've got a pile of melons in the docks there, and I think it'll be really cool to add a little bit of a stall for melons out the front here. And I've got some sort of idea of what I want to do for this stall, but we're really just gonna wing it and see what happens, and I think that'll be the best way to do it. So basically, I'm sure we've all seen a stall before, like these stalls that a lot of people use, a fairly similar design, I guess, in Minecraft, and hopefully I can do something a little bit different. But you know what? I think we've pretty much got the best sort of stuff out there already. And as you can tell, there's not really too much you can do with these things, but I think I've got a cool idea, at least in my mind. Maybe something like that. I was actually hoping that one would be a little bit different. But what I was thinking with the reason I'm using the sticky piston, really, is I'm thinking this could be a cutting booth for someone who cuts all the watermelons or the melons that we sell. I know it's got the green sliminess on it, and really it should probably be red considering the inside of these things are red, but yeah, I think it'll work. I think it'll make something a little bit different. There's one thought that I had here, which I'm not too sure of, and let me actually just put one of these up here quickly to get up here, is I've got this idea for these pillars, and I was going to be using, how am I stuck in this block? There we go. I was going to be using some of these carpets over here, which is what I mean. A lot of people use those. It's kind of a fairly common thing to see, but what I want to do is I want to try out something very, very easy, and that is some of these trapdoors, and I'm not too sure how they will work, but I want to just have a look if they do work. Yeah, that's kind of, they cool, and they interesting, and I think when we get some of the new 1.13 blocks, those will be fantastic to have, but I think right now they are just a little bit too boring, and you miss out on a lot of color. But I think what will be cool about the 1.13 ones, which I think would work quite well there, would obviously be the spruce. Those spruce ones are looking amazing. And also maybe some of the birch ones, interestingly enough, could look kind of cool because they're a bit of a funny looking trapdoor, which I think will have a lot of uses compared to any other birch thing, in my opinion, at least. But we'll get to those when we get to them. I'm not going to be putting on too much of a weight for those things up. You know, when they come around to the world, we'll have them, is pretty much my thought. So with this, I think we can just do the standard 1 for 1 for 1 for 1 like this. So a little bit of a checkered pattern like that, and maybe another one here like that, and where are these? Right around there. So just a fairly simple sort of thing that we're going to be doing in here. Can I put those? Oh man, we're going to have to go. I shouldn't have jumped off that early. So what we'll do is we'll just put in the rest of this roof here, and I think this shape will be alright. This is just sort of a thing that I think will work. Yeah, that does look kind of cool. This obviously is in the wrong spot. Yeah, something like that will work really well. I hope we can get some sort of a colored block that we could use for this spot here, because it's a little bit of a pity that we can't go off the edges. Maybe if we do something off the edges like this over here, this could work. So if I put those there. Yeah, I mean, that may very well be able to work. Alternatively, we could use the first idea we had here, where we had those, and that will be one little piece lower. Yeah, that is exactly what we need. That is actually very, very good. I'm actually surprised that it looks that easy, that good. I was actually very, very surprised about that now. So let me just go 3 of those and get those in there. And now let's check how this turns out over here. This will probably be quite cool. Yeah. And how does it, is this, I feel like this will be a little bit too far going on this side as well with them. But you know what, we'll give them a go and see if they look alright. Yeah, that's a bit too much. So just on the one side, I think that works very well. And now what we can do is we can just add in a few of the smaller things. And it's these things here, these little pieces that we are adding in right now with the melons, which could, of course, also look very out of place. And we've got to be careful about that. But adding them to like a little cart stall that gets pushed like this, I think that looks really cool. And it just, as I say, puts in a little bit more of the connection between this area, that area, and just makes this area a lot more lively and brings a lot of life just into the world in general. So for today, guys, I think that will be a pretty good place to call it. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. And of course, hopefully the motivation stuff helps you guys. And as I say, I'm getting a lot of questions about it, and hopefully that helps someone out there. As I say, if you guys have got anything you use, put it down in the comment section. And thank you very, very much for watching, guys. And I'll see you in the next one.